Of the chicken, yeah.
Oh yeah,
You haven't changed it.
It's been for the longest time.
Welcome to the SideQuest, your wonderful journey into the weekly world of video games, video game culture. Well, the weekly journey into the world of video games, video game culture, and those of us who like to get involved in both of those things and all kinds of things. That conversation you were privy to just a second ago is by Virender.
Were they privy to, or did they just miss it?
They missed the majority of the conversation.
Okay.
We'll go over it again.
Yeah.
We'll go over it again. Wanted to say thank you to Virender. This is his first time joining us on the SideQuest, and it's awesome. So first of all, SideQuest.com. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you go to the website and hop into Discord and find us on YouTube and Twitch, SideQuesting TV. And also, thank you to our executives on the Patreon, Tom Johnson. And
God, it makes it sound like we sold out. But we sold out so bad.
We sold out. I gotta pay those bills, dude. My bank account's empty.
I got like 4 people.
Yeah, I know. And then thank you to the producers, Stefan Swanlin, Zero the Prototype, Exaginous, and Jeff Grubb. You guys are all awesome. Thank you for helping us out, covering 1/18 of the cost that we need for the hosting. Which is like $45.
Just the hosting.
Just the hosting. Man, it's funny. Like I can't buy games. Thankfully, we got review games. But no, it's we have an awesome show. Obviously, Taylor is down there. Hey, Taylor, I'm gonna put you towards the top. Bam.
Oh, thank you so much. It would be a shame if everybody couldn't see the baby spit up on my shoulder, so I'm glad that you can
blame the baby. It's the baby.
I mean, as opposed to me gnawing on my shoulder like I usually do during the show. That's true.
And then there's like I said, Virender. Thank you so much. Our first time on the show with us. It's awesome to have you on. I've listed your Blue Sky right there.
Perfect. Yeah.
There you go. If you want to follow him, please go ahead and follow. I met you face to face at the Game Awards.
That was wild. Yeah,
it was wild. But it's funny because I knew you through Twitter and through our circles, and I followed your writing for a while, for a couple of years now. And then I saw you. I'm like, and we were introduced, and I'm like, oh, I know of you. I follow you. You're like, really? And I was kind of stalkerish. Didn't mean to be stalker. I'm in my 40s, so everything that comes out of my mouth is stalkerish. But no, it was just great it was great to meet you then. It's great to know you since and follow your worldly travels. You had a chance to go to Japan and do a bunch of cool stuff and make us all jealous, which is always awesome. So yeah, thank you for joining us. And I want you to tell a little bit about yourself and who you are, what you do, and then Taylor can talk about how horrible Taylor is at Dota, and then how you guys
aren't we all, man?
I'm Virender Singh Jabal. I'm a game journalist and writer. I write for all the major
I was gonna say anybody. No, I mean, not non-derogatory, like everybody.
Yeah. A lot of my work has been like millions upon millions I've read or used my work. Some of the stuff so I was saying to people, last year was like my traveling year. I went to LA twice. I went to Boston. I went to Seattle. I went to Japan. I went to San Diego. And a lot of people were saying when they met me, it was nice to put a face to the name, because a lot of my work is like for IGN. I did the Tears of the Kingdom map alone.
That's amazing.
Last year I did Dragon's Dogma 2 map. I did Pokemon Scarlet Violet, all on IGN. I've done walkthroughs for them or trends guides, and for GameSpot a lot of guides and a few reviews here and there. Eurogamer, and then I was on Rolling Stone.
You're getting my gears turning. I'm not gonna blow up your spot yet, but I just want to preface this. I'm preparing you for the future conversation where you're getting my gears turning about what James journalism has turned into in the past 10 years. But I don't want to. You need to keep going on your introduction, but I'm just preparing you for.
Well, stop interrupting him then.
Listen. I'm sorry. It was a really long. I'm not interrupting interruption.
Yeah. You can always invite me to talk about that stuff anytime. I've had like I don't know if you know SGDC, but they invited me one time where I talked about how I tackled Tears of Kingdom in like a guide mindset and a map mindset. So you can always invite me again if you like, if we want to dig down on like what is game journalism. But
so that's this year. What else have you been up to?
Recently writing, I mean the Rolling Stone piece, so I got to I got to publish and meet Harada and the other producers on Tekken, and my piece was on more than 30 years of Tekken and why it survived so long. So I focused on diversity aspects and getting to see the Tekken World Tour in person, which was really fucking cool. And just the game's diversity, representation, and also its mechanics and how it looks just gorgeous and great, and how they're very community focused on improving the events. So that's about. I mean, I'm like always. I'm here and there doing stuff.
You can find that article over at Rolling Stone. I'll just kind of post a link here so people can see it. But yeah, it's actually a really good article. Because I was on a flight recently. I'm like, I'm going to read this thing. So perfect. There you go. You can find it right there. RollingStone.com. Tekken became the world's most popular 3D fighting series. Yep. Excellent work.
It did a fantastic job.
Yeah. But no, I was just saying the Tekken piece in particular is interesting because like it had its peak and its valleys, and the resurgence that it's experienced in the last 5 years is kind of remarkable. So it's very like a very timely piece, especially with the new one being on the precipice. But yeah, more importantly, Renner and I are known for being Dota associates, which is what we were talking about before the show started. So were you writing back then? This is circa 2014 when we were playing Dota.
I mean, I would say stuff on Twitter, and then people would be like,
you and I and many other people in our sphere of influence, I guess I would put it.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, I made the Stop Gamergate 2014 hashtag. So that trended worldwide. And then I had a documentary made about me about that.
Yeah, and it's only been positive since then.
Uphill since then, man. Since then.
Man, I'm just thinking about shit was bad then. It was like
shit was bad then. I was one of the main people too, but I was like a child, so I didn't get as much support as anybody else.
So I mean, I'm 37. I don't remember.
Babies. You guys are babies.
Listen, okay, I know. We don't know what it's like to be 58 or whatever.
Whatever. I don't even know what I am anymore. Yeah.
Are we? I mean, I forget. I mean, I know. I don't think I've ever asked you at the time, but are we around the same age, or are you younger than me?
I'm younger than you.
Okay, yeah. I mean, but so holy shit, you really are a baby.
Yeah, but I haven't physically aged in more than a decade because I look the exact same. I can show you.
So what you're saying is that you looked older back then, and that gave you extra influence at the time.
When I was in high school, I had a flowing large beard that had to be gelled in. So
lucky. No. I had a horrible mustache in high school, just horrible. That's all I could grow.
They're very kind of strict about not kind of strict, but you have to be 17 and older. But when I was 14, I had a full beard, so if I wanted to buy a game, it didn't matter.
We'll sell you GTA, no problem.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we knew each other at Dota. We played a lot 2014, 2015, and then I left Twitter.
Yeah.
Then I left social media because of gun threats, and then I was on millions upon me. I can just send the documentary to some time, but it was accepted at Toronto Youth Shorts, but me leaving social media, so then for 6 years, so and then there were a lot
you left for 6 years.
I came back in 2021.
Holy shit!
Actual 60. So when people ever tell me like, "Oh, go touch the grass," when I'm so passionate, I'm like,
man,
I've
been touching grass.
Yeah, but
I've been touching it, mowing it, growing it. Yeah,
it's weird because I didn't leave, but that was definitely like 2015 is definitely when I had like a steep drop off where it was just like it's not so fun to be here anymore. But I also didn't like start anti-Gamergate, so people weren't trying to like make me leave the internet the whole time. So I didn't really have it was easier for me to just like not log in and not have to delete everything is I guess what I'm saying. But like I know what you mean about like it felt like the right time to not be a part of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's also unfortunate with recent stuff the few years. As every single game is now a culture war that has to be started.
It's an odd situation because it feels like it's being forced upon people that don't wish it to be a thing. It's like a lot of people are just like, man, we're just trying to make a video game. And it just like, are you? Because you're doing X, Y, and Z. It's like, I'm not. I was actually just making the video game, and like it's just like thousands of people being like, "No, you were trying to do this." And it's like, "Oh no, nobody was trying to do that. We just made a video game." And it doesn't matter how many times everybody says that exact same thing. The same song and dance has to happen every time, and it's just like I would say probably everybody's pretty tired of doing it, and it's just never going. And we're not past it yet, as I guess what I'm saying. And there's a lot of really, really deep discussions that we could have about the reasons for why that is, but
we could definitely make that its own episode. And I would love
discussion for sure. We have a way more gaming things to discuss, I think, on today's show compared to that. But
I hate a lot of people in the industry, so if I get along with like, holy fuck. A lot of people.
Luckily, I don't. I mean, Dally, you might still count yourself inside the industry. I do not. I've barely been on the show. Like, is this my first appearance this calendar year in the year of our Lord 2025?
Maybe were you on the? When was our Game of the Year show?
I was on the Game of the Year show.
You were the Game of the Year show.
So this is the second appearance.
The second appeance
on our show, the game of the calendar year.
The game of the calendar of the year.
But yeah, no. So I mean, I have a 4-month-old baby, so that's my reason, and will continue to be my reason for that.
Also, very easy to stay off social media too.
Yeah, I mean, like I literally, I mean, them killing TweetDeck was already the beginning of the end for me. I still have to run a browser extension, which I continue to do so to keep TweetDeck in its
just to keep it in there
previous form. But any day where like I load up my window and it doesn't load old TweetDeck, then I just don't. Like Twitter doesn't exist for that day, which is a far cry from where things used to be. But like literally all of the people that I follow is still frozen in time from literally 2015. It's the exact same. It's like half the time it's like, oh, did Kyle Orland post today? I think he's actually moved to Blue Sky now. And so like, but like that's what it felt like from 2015 to 2022. It was like, I don't know, I'm gonna check literally Wario64 and Kyle Orland tweets and see like what happened in the things that I care about today. And that was usually the majority of my Twitter experience. And people are like talking about how algorithms are changing and like my home feed is changing. I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, it crashes a lot. Videos don't fucking work.
And I still don't use it on my phone, which is probably the greatest blessing that I've ever given to myself. Anyway, this isn't a show about Twitter. We're gonna talk about video games.
Let's talk about video games. We're gonna move on from that news and hop into some happy, awesome news.
Oh, I'm sure there's really good stuff. Are we gonna talk about the Microsoft AI demonstration thing?
Let's talk about Microsoft AI with the AI demonstration. How wonderful!
Oh man!
Oh goodness, yeah. This is a fun story. So, empowering creators, and this is off Xbox Wire, so off Xbox.com, empowering creators and players with Muse, a generative AI model for gameplay. Microsoft announced that hey guys, hey friends and family, we have a brand new way to make video games with generative AI. Here it is. It's going to make some awesome looking games. We fed a game in there. We fed one game in there that nobody played and turned into tiny little GIFs. GIFs. My daughter corrects me every time. GIFs of what the game could be. And
I'm sorry to say that your daughter's wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah, right. No, you're correct. And here it is. There it is. Do you see it? Yep, that's about as big as the screen gets with these games. So yeah, they're hopping in hardcore to do that. And it's kind of an interesting. Yeah. It's kind of an interesting thing. There has been a lot of discussion about generative AI in all kinds of aspects of life in general, right? It's built into our phones now. Apple and Android have it, everything from ChatGPT to coding to art to music to everything in between. It's become the new clip art in a bad way, and that people are using it for purposes. I have an arts degree. I think I may have talked to you about that before. I have an art degree, spent 4 years in art school learning what makes good art. How do you connect with the end user? I took it more of a design side, but this is a lot of work to understand why a single line on a piece of paper looks the way it does and the meaning that it has. And you extend that to game development, right? Talk to any game developer and they're going to tell you a pixel is the way it is because they want it to be that way. And they will spend hours adjusting that pixel and everything around that pixel and that polygon, everything around that polygon and the story and the character design and the hair. And when that's taken out of their control, that's where issues come up, right? And of course, AI is a tool like everything else. You can use it in ways to help. I mean, people have already started using it for coding purposes to help kind of get some shortcuts, get some things done. You still have to go back in and do a lot of work. That's one thing I've noticed using AI is that it's maybe more work. It's at least as much work, but maybe more work going back in and correcting the mistakes that we made. But Microsoft announced it and said we're in kind of the experimental phase with Muse, but this is it. This is for gameplay, they call it ideation, but then at the same time, there you go. Taylor's got the brick background.
If you're about whether or not the 9800 X3D does well with StreamYard's built-in blur.
Oh, really?
It's not good. It's not good. I literally had to leave because my CPU is pegged at like 95% that whole time, and I got really concerned. That's why I dropped.
But we're just kind of getting into this. So they announced Muse. It's their generative AI model. It is meant to help. They talk about it as helping from an ideation standpoint, a gameplay ideation standpoint. But then again, gameplay ideation is such a weird. It's like a double-edged sword,
Well, I mean, so here's the weird thing, and this is the same conversation that you're going to have about generative AI from every single fucking angle that exists on the planet, right? Which is the fact that you have to feed it all the things that everybody's ever done in the first place. And so the only thing that generative AI is going to be able to develop are iterations on the things that everybody's already done in the past. So it's really good for cataloging information. And this is so we could have the same conversation about what a large language model does in general. But what we're able to do is produce information that already exists inside a definitive journal really well. And regurgitate that information. But when it comes to creating something that's brand new, is usually probably going to be pretty poor because it's either going to be nonsensical or it's going to be something that's like, oh, wow, this is a really good idea. Oh, that's because it was created by a successful, studio team, individual, whatever, that had an original idea and came up with it. The likelihood that a AI model that's fed with stuff that people that successfully did on their own and come up with something novel, is it? We're just in the chimpanzees and the typewriters all over again. It's like yeah, maybe it could, but like maybe also chimpanzees might type Shakespeare. It's like I don't know how many GPU thousands of watt hours are we going to spend on the likelihood that it spits out one novel idea that's actually original and good. We probably could have paid like 8 people for 1 year and come up with something. I'm just saying
totally.
I'm just thinking it's like, the amount of electricity that people spend is probably worth like 800 people instead, and we're just gonna be like, nah, this was the better idea for sure. And you're like, was it?
You're gonna put in
drinking water.
Yeah, there you go. You're gonna put in like let's learn from the last 8 Gears of War games. We're gonna make Gears of War 9.
I mean, like for real, it's like
Gears of War 9 button. Cool.
It's like, I mean, so here's the thing. In terms of a sequel, yeah, it actually probably could produce something that's that's usable. At the very least, it's like, we took in, especially like the longer the series, the better, right? We took in every idea that you've done, and we picked whatever the algorithm said. But I think algorithms are computer programs that people write, which means that they are inherently flawed to whatever person or people wrote that algorithm. And that will remain the fact for as long as algorithms exist and are used. So it's whatever biases that it's created with, it's going to continue to exist. Who wrote the Muse AI algorithm? What bias did they include on what is preferential for gameplay elements? Because let me tell you, I mean, scroll back up to the GIFs real quick.
Sure.
And we're just gonna like take a quick peekarino at what's here, because the only shit that I see is third person action, like competitive team shooter. Like, is there any other game that's featured here?
No, I think, and they put in that Bleeding Edge game, right? That's what they said.
Yeah, I mean, like,
work on Bleeding Edge, and this is going to come up out of it. And it's like, okay, I get it, but you at that same time, you're going to have to put in.
Listen, I'm just saying
a lot of different games. Yeah,
I guess the main takeaway from me when I looked through this was like that if I'm Microsoft, this is an internal PR message, not an external PR message.
I completely agree.
I don't see who benefits from like other people knowing about this. Like, make sure that your shareholders know about it, obviously. Like, that's who this is targeted at. It doesn't have to be a thing that people like really need to know. I mean, let a game journalist who really cares like dig through a shareholder announcement to find this, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say. I mean, maybe you could argue with me about the optics of like which one would be better or worse for Microsoft, but I'd rather have that conversation than this is like, this sucks.
No, I mean, I agree with you, because like all the conversation has been why are you laying this out? And it's because it's so public facing, right? And then you have developers that are kind of getting angry.
I guess that's what I mean. Like, I think a lot of people would be like, I'm not surprised that this exists, right? Don't like, it's not
sure more companies have it, I'm sure.
Right. It's not like exactly shocking. Microsoft is at its core is a technology company, which means that it's going to have heavy investment. I mean, we've seen many stories about its OpenAI investments and stuff like that. So obviously there's a lot of footholds there, and with AI in general. So it's like, it's not about the fact that it happened. It's like, why are you making this an Xbox Wire PR post? Like, it's the misreading of the room of thinking that I don't know, people like on this show right now would think that it's a positive thing, and I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too high on it, but I'm just like, I don't know, I feel a little jilted that, like, do you think that I want this? Do you think that I like this is positive? Because I don't know.
The thing is, Microsoft doesn't even make money off their consoles,
right?
Like, their sales are so bad.
Not since what, the 360, right? Basically.
Yeah. They could. The thing that I always say is like, they could just leave the console race or whatever, and it doesn't matter.
Which we've talked about extensively on side questing. Ever since the rumored streaming stick, which is like, I mean, what are we, 18 months ago at this point?
Yeah, at least,
basically since the onset of Game Pass, we've been discussing the exodus, or the leaving of the console space. I don't know, the Segification of Microsoft gaming studios, essentially. It's just even in that sense where they're no longer a console. This I feel like is actually software focused, but just in the wrong ways. I don't know. It feels like a shareholder post, which makes it that much weirder to me that they posted on Xbox Wire, thinking that anybody would give a shit about it.
It's great because it's sandwiched between check out the new Atelier Yumiya and Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza posts. It's like, and then by the way, here's the AI stuff that we're working on. But it definitely felt like it was internal, and I
don't know.
Yeah, it's
phrasing it as empowering players, especially like what player is being empowered by Muse?
It's earnings season for a lot of companies, and you may be onto it.
Shareholders eat this shit up. Post it to them. They're like literally not a single quote unquote.
But don't you think the shareholders want to see
I don't think they care. I don't think shareholders care if whether or not Microsoft Xbox posts it to gamers. Like, you think shareholders are like, but do you really believe in AI? You didn't post it to the gamers. I don't think that. Not the shareholders that matter. Not the shareholders that matter. No.
Yeah.
It's just there's also a dissonance with you have journalists on the site that do the reporting, like do dig deep reporting, or they write tips guys, and then you have a post like that exactly on the site, which is
this is quick. I had a specific word that I was going to use, and it fell out of my brain. But this is quick PR bait. It feels like, because I don't know, is this the conversation that this was specifically written for, so that people were going to just talk about it and iterate on it about was this just any PR is good PR kind of moment? I don't know. I typically, seeing as how the title of the person here is the vice president of gaming AI, no, I think this person truly probably was like, no, AI is my job, so everybody's going to know about it kind of moment. But I don't know. I find it hard to believe that the idea behind this one was all PR is good PR. I don't know.
Yeah,
somebody pushed internally that said this is a good idea, and my issue is that person got listened to. I guess that's what I'm saying. That person, whoever pushed it is like an AI person, so that's whatever. Whoever listened to that person, to me, is the problem.
Yeah,
is what it comes down to. Anyway.
It's just so strange because you could go and read that Atelier piece, and it focuses on the preview, and it focuses on Microsoft's history, and there's great quotes in it, and there's experience in there, and then you go,
right there. As a huge Xbox fan, I'm thrilled to finally bring this series to the system. But when I look at the game as a whole, I don't describe Atelier as the next Atelier game. I describe it as a completely new genre. It's like, oh, hey, interesting discussion here. Then you're right. Then you get to this one. It's like, we're excited to announce a generative AI breakthrough published today in the journal.
I don't know. You just you look at the. Maybe we're just critiquing Xbox Wire at this point, right?
There are fantastic journalists there, but just.
Here's the thing: is this is what happens when you embed journalists inside a PR enterprise, right?
Sure.
Yeah. It's tough because being the last thing that I'm going to call being a games journalist is easy, so you're going to find your purchase wherever you can, and sometimes it's inside the belly of the beast. So that's what I would describe being Inside Xbox Wire is on this particular week. That's the way I'll leave it.
Well, I do want. I'm going to segue right now. Speaking of being saying that being a James journalist. Wow, you got me.
A James Gournalist.
Games journalist is easy. A good games
James Gournalist. Don't mess it up again, Dally.
I think the title of this week's episode is James Gournalist.
James Gournalist. Write it down, buddy.
Yep, got it. A games journalist topic that's been hot this week is the Marvel Rivals stuff. And
and you know what? It's almost too bad because the news story here isn't Marvel Rivals; it's NetEase in general.
Yes.
And I mean, but the reality is that everybody thinks of Marvel Rivals, so you're going to lead with what makes sense. So, but yeah, in reality, here we've got an issue. I mean, I personally liken it to an Embracer issue, where Embracer grew too big and then had to divest. NetEase is in a very similar situation, except there's some additional layers of complexity inside there, which are geopolitical,
yes,
which didn't really determine Embracer's decisions necessarily. The Embracers were more financial. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day here, so the headline here is Marvel Rivals parted ways with its North American based development side.
Yeah.
It does have a non-North American development side. I did see quite a lot of online discourse, which was, what the fuck are they going to do? They don't have any more development. People are clearly unaware of the fact that there's not only North American people that work on these games, which is really funny, which is there's just a continual reminder of the anti Asian and Southeast Asian development bias, which continues to exist. It's like, how could this exist without a North American studio working on it? Was really funny to read for me personally. It's like when you think of, especially as a person that played a bunch of Nexon and South Korean games when I was younger, and you're like, you guys don't know about that stuff. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, so the big thing here is that NetEase is moving away from North American, specifically United States based development studios where they can. And so I would expect Marvel Rivals is going to make the most waves because it's their biggest game right now, because what they just announced, there's 40 million people is their current max player base. But this headline is going to repeat for other studios, and I think it did actually recently. I forget exactly which ones, but they're going to lose funding. I know Grasshopper Studios was in that list, and there was a few others.
Essentially, right.
But yeah, I mean, this one was tough because they were just you're cut off, you're gone, and everybody's laid off. Which is the biggest thing is that how it still continues to be that everybody just gets the news on fucking LinkedIn is crazy.
That's wildest shit.
It's so crazy that it continues to be either a LinkedIn post or a Twitter post, and then everybody's like, wait, is this me? And then it's like, oh shit, it is. And the fact that it keeps happening is insane. It's so crazy to me. The fact that there's not this even minimal decorum about how to let somebody know that their jobs are gone, which is again another discussion. But this is a show about discussions within discussions. I think we're going to keep doing this. I feel
I'm curious, and because you suggested us bringing this one up, and I know you have some thoughts about this.
Yeah, I mean, fill in the gaps, because obviously I just soapboxed for 8 minutes.
So
I'm going to cut you out anyways, Taylor.
Please do. I got heated about that one.
So it reminds me a lot about the discussion of people being like, oh, look at Nintendo of Japan. They don't fire people. They don't blah, blah. Iwata put down his salary so other people could. And I'm like, but then why was the salary so high?
Right.
But it's also like it's a geopolitical issue in the sense like job security is very different in different places around the world, and since games. Another thing is also the way people have written about it is like the creative director when they have 3 or 4 of them. So like they could have put like Marvel Rivals NA creative director, but no, they put
and so I think that's where I was also coming from when I was trying to lead on it. It's just like it's not like again, and I mean, listen, I don't need to say it again because I already literally said the exact same thing I was about to say, which was the NA versus Asia bias, but it's just fucking, I don't know, pisses me off. But yeah, no, there was definitely a media issue on this one too, which was creative director of Marvel Rivals laid off, and you're like, what the fuck are they going to do? They don't have a creative director anymore. You're like, yeah, because there wasn't only one, man. There was 40 million people playing this game. You think that like Disney was like, yeah, only one creative director should do it? Anyway,
I think it's. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. No,
I was just saying there's always a literacy issue, which is the fact that the people that consume the news about this stuff don't have the literacy to go along with it, which is ironic considering that I'm on a podcast discussing the news of it.
and calling yourself definitely not a journalist.
but we're reading articles together. So
we are.
That's true. That's true.
But I think you did
listen, old of you to assume that I'm reading anything. No. Continue, please.
But I also think it's just I understand from the angle that's like our game's very successful. We want to keep it more where the main core team is. So we have to let go the North American team. Yeah, we have a lot of players who are in North America, but if we've been spearheading and doing all the core stuff mechanically and developing seasons outside of North America, then what's the point of having a team? I feel like that's their angle looking at it, probably most likely, because that is just.
I have a question for you, and I'm curious on your opinion on this one, on whether or not the majority of keeping in a strong NA team early is because obviously Disney being North American based, and whether or not it was core for making a lot of the arrangements happen for IP purposes. And now that it's secured, that the NA team is less important.
It's so strange because like I've followed gaming news since I was a kid, like very intimately, but there hasn't been any symmetry the past few years where there's rounds upon rounds of layoffs. Like it's never been this bad. And
that's true.
And people don't see it. It was not this bad in like 2008, 2012. And I was still like, it was nowhere near this. And when there were layoffs, it was very minimal. I would see like a dozen or 2 dozen, but it's hundreds, it's thousands. And then you have like Facebook putting $40 billion into Meta, and it looks like fucking 2010 fucking graphics shit. And I'm like, I don't care about graphics, but why does it fucking look so bad?
Why does it look like the Wii?
God, it was so fucking bad.
You know, part of it is, and I was fortunate enough to be on the Giant Bombcast a couple years, a little bit over a year ago, talking about this. And it you know, the game industry is, to quote the terminology now, it's got it's kind of, I don't call it big, but it's gone past being a hobbyist industry. Right now, it is a major multimedia, giant world-spanning industry. I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars at this point, right? It's not a, hey, you know, we sold 500,000 copies of the latest Assassin's Creed. That's great numbers. Now those are numbers to get people fired, right? Those are horrible. So just
ask Square Enix, man.
Yeah, for sure. And so the game industry is massive, and it keeps getting bigger. And you got whole countries investing, you know, in gaming funds, investing in companies, and there's a lot of money flowing into this. And we get back to, we just kind of talked about with the Microsoft stuff. There's a lot of shareholder side of this. There's a lot of how do we show that we're going to keep making money? And this is happening to private companies as well. But how do we show that we're going to keep making money? Well, I don't say the easiest, but the way that works is to lay people off, right? And now the industry is this big, it's massive, it's larger than the automotive industry, essentially. You're going to see this. People always, people have been saying, well, hopefully next year things slow down. Hopefully, guys, friends, it's never going to slow down. We've passed that tipping point. You're going to have stretches maybe of like 2-3 years where things sort of calm down a little bit, but then if things are calming down, that was 2019, 2020, when money was starting to pour in because people were staying home. And then you get 2021. Layoffs were starting in 2021 where people were starting to go outside again. A lot of folks don't remember that. They only remember 2023 and 2024 and not 2025. But this is just going to keep on happening. It sucks, but until we get certain protections in there, like unionization and contract and understanding really understanding what it takes to develop a game, we're going to be hit by this over and over again. And I don't want to say it's something that we got to get used to, because we shouldn't, because there should be protections in place, but it's such a big industry now that there are always pieces are always going to be moving. You're going to have a studio one day, and then you're not. Like, you saw people leave massive studios, like people left BioWare and started their own studio, and in the 3 years that new studio's been around, they haven't produced a game yet, and now they're laying people off. So it's not like it's safe anywhere. It's the scale of this industry, in good and bad, is what kind of its own weight.
Well, I mean, and not that I want to engage in a AAA conversation, but like,
sure.
A lot of it is what a big game has become, and there is certain expectations that are associated with that, and frankly, the reality is that it's the amount of money that's being put into creating one of those big games is unrealistic now. And when you have games that kind of touch on greatness, which don't require it, obviously Dali, one of our favorites from last year being Balatro, one of our other favorites being 1000 Times Resist.
Canadian games.
Yeah, we needed you on here for the representation.
Both of those games don't fall into that category. And there's another discussion which comes up, which is that what people are spending money on, which of course is a big part of it. And, obviously there is no recurring revenue on Balatro or 1000X Resist, in terms of, whether it's loot boxes or, monthly player base or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, like, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, my brain is so like Xbox 360 coded that I'm like, I don't know, man. We're not selling map packs for Halo 3 anymore. So I have no idea what the fuck like makes sense anymore. But like you look at the ups and the downs, and like Balatro was a massive financial success at the end of the day. And I mean, probably 1000 Times Resist was, financially, at least. And it's just like, I don't know, but those aren't big games. So like, and that's not what studios, I guess, still want. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess when I think about it, it's like, make 10 Balatros a year instead of one Call of Duty a year is what I want.
Microsoft used to do that in
right.
like 2010, 11, and 12.
Not even Microsoft.
Summer.
A lot of places used
summer,
to.
Yeah.
Summer, I mean, listen.
Summer of Arcade.
Summer of Arcade.
Yeah.
I mean, Castle Crashers, it was on sale for $1.50 like last week.
It always
is. They just added content to it.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Yeah, where's that news headline? They just added the new content to Castle Crashers. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't really have like a direction that I'm going with this tangent.
I have something that I kind of say to help kind of button this up, and I'm glad you brought it up, Taylor. You mentioned
you're welcome.
the AAA aspect, and we have talked about, there has been conversation recently. It's like, hey, we're aiming too much for that AAA. We've lost that mid-tier, that AA, single A level stuff. Thankfully, if our panel gets approved at PAX East, VR is going to be a part of it. Taylor's going to be a part of it. We're going to be talking about AA, single A, the best 7 out of 10 single A, AA games that have come out and that are near and dear to our hearts. But that is something that we've missed. No one is creating a game just to get that. I mean, there are a few. Saber Interactive is one of those companies. It's like, hey, let's make a Quiet Place game. Why not? Or they're making a Jurassic Park game. It's not going to be AAA. The Turok game's not going to be AAA, but it kind of gets the job done.
Yeah, we have certain publishers out there.
Yeah. But you don't see that anymore from the other, there's not enough of them anymore.
I mean, honestly, like the one that comes to my mind is probably Pentiment.
Yeah.
But it was more, it feels like it's more of like an allowance of like, fine, sure, you can make Pentiment if you make this other shit.
Right.
In the meantime, this is your allowance. You get to make this, and then I mean, what did they make right after Pentiment?
They were working on
they're working on something.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Well, I mean, it's Avowed, isn't it?
It's probably Avowed, right?
Right, yeah.
That's they're both Obsidian, right? I was literally making sure. Listen, I'm so unsure of my gaming footing at this point that I was like making sure that they were both Obsidian.
Well, I do want to make that segue because we have had an awesome conversation. But I want to get into the actual games that we've been playing because
guess what? Avowed's one of them.
Midnight. Well, let's let our guest go first.
Please.
It's your first time on the show. It's funny because I always have to point to my right. It shows up right on the correct.
You can put me wherever you want.
There you go. There. I'm going to point. There you go. I'm pointing to my right. Perfect. VR, tell us something that you've been playing that look at that. We already have a new guy.
Listen, anything's better than me,
man.
Kind
of considered the new guy. It's been so long for him too. VR, tell us what you've been playing.
So so we talked about the discourse around the game, but I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals.
Okay.
I'm at almost 200 hours.
No shame, by the way. No shame.
None at all. No.
Yeah, I
think it's Jeff, right? Jeff only player.
Oh God, I wish Jeff's healing was better, but that's not why people pick Jeff. So
it's only for the ult. It's all right. I get it.
So when I was in Japan, I was still because I went from Japan right to LA for the Game Awards. So then I was at least 2 or 3 weeks behind everyone on release wise because the same release week Marvel Rivals came out and then Infinity Nikki came out.
Yeah.
So then I was like, so I missed out on like a lot of stuff for that. But I think Marvel Rivals is fantastic. They released a new update recently, 2 more characters. They're going
The Thing and Johnny Blaze, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm. Oh my God.
Human Torch.
Yeah, that's whatever. I'm tired, man.
It's all good. I was like the week before, so the week leading up to them, I've been practicing Black Widow because the meta's gonna be it's just people flying, right? Because Storm Human Torch go together with their team up, and then it's tough times right now if you're trying to kill or get better at killing flying units. But I always love hero shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorites are like Gigantic, which did come back.
We love Gigantic. Yeah, we're big fans of it here. Yeah,
yes, absolutely love it. Gigantic. I was one of the people who played Concord.
Okay.
You know, played it a lot.
Dozens.
There were dozens of us. Yeah, that one was so unfortunate as well. But I also wanted to say bring this up before, but I didn't want to interrupt. But it was also like people don't know how to talk about when game development works, because like people said like Concord was being developed for 10 years. I'm like, yeah, that's very doable. You know, if you write something on a napkin and you make character designs.
Yeah, when you talk about like from pre-plan to launch.
Yeah, 10 years. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, totally doable. 100%.
Yeah, but then people just didn't understand that. I'm like, no, like they could have had one concept art, not done anything for 3 years, and that still would have like, yeah, people don't know what.
Yeah, like when you're literally the one guy who wants to keep making the game and you keep bringing it up to your production head for 3 years before they greenlight it, that counts as that all of that counts. Yeah.
But I love hero shooter games. I think this one does fantastically. I know a big. I put in like 1,000 hours into the original Overwatch, and then Overwatch 2 happened.
Yeah,
I tried hard a few times to like get in there.
It didn't stick.
I tried like 30, let's say it's 30 hours. I reinstalled it a few times, and it just didn't work.
Were you a PvE believer?
I thought that stuff was interesting because my biggest issue with that stuff was when I'm going to the Overwatch 2 shop and I see these $20 skins, and then I think back to myself, I played a PvE event 3 years ago where I got that for free.
Yeah.
But everybody else has to pay for it now. I'm genuinely saddened for other people.
I mean, God, man, talk about things that could have been their own episode. Overwatch is definitely one of them. The whole progression of it.
We're getting one game drill as an episode, and the one
we've racked up like 4 in the pipeline right now.
Honestly, I love hero shooter games. I really loved Overwatch character designs. It was very cool to see all these, and I liked how people were trying to, make lore out of different things. Like, the way D.Va like grips her gun, or like, they get like, there's interesting mechanics narratively. There's very interesting narrative design there from that, and the comics a bit accentuated that. But then I feel like it got so overblown where like I think D.Va's story was rewritten 4 or 5 times. First she's a pro gamer joining that, and then she's a cop joining that, and then and I'm like, okay, how many times can you redo this stuff? And the environmental storytelling was so cool because like the maps would change slightly and it would be for like a future character or a mention of that. And Marvel Rivals has one of the things that makes it better on just like aesthetic wise is when you buy a skin, you can see the skin more clearly because it's third person. And I know a lot of people were very saddened about that in like Overwatch, but I tried so hard with Overwatch 2 to try to get in. I didn't like 5v5. I didn't like the changing of roles. I didn't like that everybody has progressive healing, so then what's the point of having healers?
Well, good news, 6v6 is back.
Yeah, but like now it's like
great news.
40 million players on this other hero shooter game. It's saddening. It's saddening because like they said they put a lot of time and effort into the PvE stuff, and then it just got scrapped completely.
It's so crazy to me that they scrapped it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And as someone big on preservation, I've written a lot of guides for games that don't exist anymore. Final Fantasy First Soldier is my favorite battle royale.
Yeah.
I have guides for that where you can play a Sephiroth. I have guides how to play the Trickster class. But nobody else can play the game anymore. I can't play it either, and I wrote guides on it. And it's so, and like Overwatch 1 doesn't exist.
Same.
It's
so maddening.
Yeah. I love Marvel Rivals. I think it's fantastic. I think it reminds me like Pokemon Unite. I have like 1,500 hours in. The way Pokemon Unite's design philosophy Marvel Rivals' design philosophy reminds me a lot of Pokemon Unites, because like you would think like taking a Pokemon or taking a superhero and putting them in a MOBA hero shooter environment, it takes a lot of interesting design decisions to properly formulate that.
Mm-hmm.
But like an example is like for Pokemon Unite, they don't just put like the coolest or the most popular. They put like ones that are interesting in a design way. So like one of
That's
them,
true. Especially the original run. It was like there was just like a random assortment of Pokemon. It was crazy.
Garchomp, Pikachu's there, of course.
Yeah, I mean Pikachu was there, but like, God, what was the fucking crab?
That was the Crustle.
He was just like, I mean, he was one of the tanks. You were just like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I mean, at least me as a Pokemon Red Blue player.
Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff is in there. Like, there's interesting mechanics. One that I bring up to people, I wrote so many guides for that game too. Was Dodrio. So Dodrio has 3 heads. So then why don't they? So they were like, oh, so if you have 10 points, each head scores 3, and then 4. So then you can get little points in, rather than like a big 10 that'll take too long to charge up and score goals and points. Just you can easily score 3 and run away. And the way Dodrio works is like it's 3 heads are front facing, so it can't turn back and forth. Like in Dota or in League of Legends, there's like you have to like sway because it's always looking forward. Like there's interesting design mechanics there. And Marvel Rivals brings that philosophy where it's like, okay, let's take this hero, let's take the superhero or villain, let's put them in a hero shooter setting, but like work with the limitations and the frictions of what a hero would be in this world, and things like just the way some of the like for Cloak and Dagger, dagger heals, and like you can bounce off walls with that, or Rocket Raccoon having like a revive, or having like jet boots to run away, or a lot of characters can go in the air and float for a bit because it's just so instinctual, and you can tell that they're working very hard on like trying to translate bringing those. And I see the same design philosophy for like Pokemon Unite doing that, because those are companies those are both core companies outside North America as well. And I see like they're not just picking like the coolest or the most well-known, like Luna Snow. A lot of people
don't know who that is.
Yeah. And then there were some leaks about like other characters coming in, but we'll see about that. But like they're going for, I feel like one of the biggest reasons like Marvel versus Capcom Infinite failed was because like they didn't have any X-Men characters, or and they were sticking so close to MCU stuff. But like when you have a developer that's outside North America, because when I went to like an example is like I went to Japan, they love Disney there. The Disney store is huge. Marvel superheroes are huge there. It's not a surprise, that sort of thing. Like people go and watch them all around the world. So like seeing a developer outside of North America do interesting things, where they've done anime for Marvel before. They've done like they love Star Wars as well. Like there's interesting things they can bring on the development side that I see with the characters, and I think it's just phenomenal. Like every character plays so differently, and I've never seen people wanting to queue up as healers.
Right.
In a like they're all so vastly different. Like I think Loki is amazing on design wise, like a healer where you can make different copies and then each of them heals by shooting. I like genius mechanics. I just shook it, and I'm playing Infinity Nikki.
Oh yeah, that's right. You mentioned it. Yeah, cool. I want now that just came out to or is coming out to it's Steam. I think they said that's coming. I forget.
I think so.
The press release of that like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Cool. That's what I've actually been kind of interested into hopping into.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Taylor, what have you been playing?
I'll keep it short. I bought a bunch of the Phoenix Wright games for PC.
Okay.
They were on sale.
Sales, yeah.
And I mean, I played all of the original Phoenix Wright back on when it was on DS back in the day. I played the original Apollo Justice game when it was out, but I didn't play anything after the first Apollo Justice game. So I think it was like basically negligible dollars if you bought the entire pack. So technically I have them all. Maybe I'll go back for the original Phoenix Wright games too. But I did replay all of Apollo Justice's game. I was like, man, I played it. I don't need to play this again. And then I played it and I was like, I don't remember jack. I don't remember fucking anything. So I played all of that, and that game fucking rules still. By the way. And then I played the second one in Apollo Justice's series. I already forget what it's called. But it's so Apollo's Justice game is the last one where it was all 2D sprite.
Yeah.
And then the next one is their first foray into 3D. And I'm struggling, man. I'm jonesing for some 2D drawn stuff. I'm going to be honest. Maybe I'm sure that it's going to continue to get better. But I don't know. The design feels different. All of it's like feels, I don't know, I guess like worse. I don't want to say it, but it doesn't feel as good as what the original Apollo Justice and the old Phoenix Wrights were. Right. But we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna give it its due diligence and see. They're all still pretty well reviewed, all things considered. So we'll see. I finished like the first case for the second Apollo Justice game. Phoenix Wright comes back. Sorry, spoilers. It's like 8 years ago.
You would also love, I think, Urban Myth Dissolution Center, because if you like pixel,
I know of Urban Myth Dissolution Center, but I've never played it.
Okay, it just came out.
Yeah, it did.
I know what you're talking about.
Remember?
Yeah. We played it. I tried it at PAX last year.
Why did we never met at PAX? I'm surprised.
I was there.
Yep.
I'm gonna be there again. This year. I've been there for like 3 years, Dally?
Yeah, it was my first.
Yeah.
Is it your first time in PAX East?
Last year, yeah.
So like PAX East was my stomping ground in like 2013 to 2015. They kind of knew me. In the person. Just kidding. I still remember going like in 2012. I forget what my first year was. It was either 2011 or 2012, and Joystick was still around, which was like my main reason for even giving a shit about any of this. And I was like, holy fuck, Chris Grant and Justin McElroy, and I actually went to PAX West one year, and it was just Griffin and Justin were like the only two people there.
Right.
I was like, man, this is fucking sick. And I don't know. They did. I mean, obviously, it didn't amount to anything. Anyway, we're talking about Phoenix Wright.
Yes.
And but yeah, no, that game previewed, I thought pretty decently on PAX floor. And I know it's I feel like some of it was riding, I don't want to say riding the coattails, that makes it sound so negative, of World of Horror. Or wait, is that the right name?
Yeah, I think it was World of Horror. Yeah.
From Bard.
Yep.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So anyway, I've already like misidentified it because I feel like riding the coattails is the wrong word. But I feel like the vibes were very similar. I'll put it that way. But it definitely had its own thing going. And this is just a reality of a demo on a show floor. There's too much explanation that has to happen for a demo to work for a lot of things. And that one suffered for that reason.
Yeah. Other people did say that as well. Like the exact same thing about that game.
It's like, all right, here, come sit down, do the demo. Also, by the way, you're going to spend approximately 25 to 40% of the time understanding how to play the video game that you're trying to demo on the show floor. It's like, man, I got like 8 minutes. Oh, dude. So when you spend 4 out of the 8 minutes just trying to understand how to play the video game, and then you spend like 3.5 minutes playing the video game, it's like, ugh, it doesn't feel great. Yeah. But anyway, that being said, all of those things being negative, it still came out net positive. Like, it was a cool game to play. It felt interesting to do. And I was talking about playing Phoenix Wright series and Apologesis. So anyway, the 3D transition was rough. I'll see how it plays out. I beat the first case. It was okay. New character introduced. It's a little heavy-handed, I felt like. But I don't know. I'll deal. I'll figure it out.
You're gonna go to the Miles Edgeworth games next, right?
I don't technically have them. I thought about it when I was looking at I was like, Miles Edgeworth, that man's in my past. I don't need to play as him anymore.
Right.
They technically remade or remastered all of them too, right?
It looks so nice.
Does it? Okay.
It's still pixel art.
Yeah, but I don't care. I'm like, pixel art's like a net that's a positive.
No, but they updated it, and like I saw the comparison.
You're gonna convince me to buy it. Don't do this to me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, like it wasn't even really the 3D that did it for me.
Right.
It was actually how the tutorial was significantly more heavy-handed in the second Apologesis game compared to the first one. I was just like, what happened? Did we think that everybody forgot how to play kind of like a touch to progress video game compared to the first time? Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the development difference like in time frame was, but it felt like it must have been significant because it was like, I don't know, tutorial the shit out of this. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing anymore. Anyway, but speaking of a game that requires tutorial, I was also playing. I bought Riven last year. The update and remake of Riven, which is it's actually pretty spectacular. I played through Riven when it originally, not when it originally came out, when I was in college, which was a significant amount of time ago. But I don't remember jack shit about it. I don't think I ever beat it. So it's effectively, all of that knowledge is effectively useless. And it looks, in my opinion, amazing for what it needs to be. And it's a damn hard puzzle game. Calling it a puzzle game is almost a misnomer, I think. Because it's really an adventure game that has puzzles,
right?
You know, especially compared to the original Myst. The original Myst is a true point and click where, you know, you click a direction to turn, you click a direction to go forward. You don't have control over your character of moving dynamically in the world. Riven, like I said, I don't remember. I don't remember the original Riven. This Riven, you have full control over your character. So you are and looking at things in certain angles is important. So I unless they reimagined all of that stuff, I would imagine that it was in the original Riven too. Otherwise, it's that much more of a heroic reimagining of the original game if it wasn't there. But I don't know. It's just it's just a cool ass game, man. Yeah, like even the original was. But it's like you already showed me shit that I have not seen, and I've probably put like 5-ish to 6-ish hours into Riven, as is. But it's, I don't know, it's just great. Myst was one of the first games that I ever had on like a original Pentium, like 133 megahertz processor computer, back in 1995, 1996. And I don't think I ever beat it until I was like in my teens, because it was really fucking hard. And that's when I found GameFAQs. So to come back into Riven now, it's like, man, I couldn't have beaten it then either. It's, I don't know. It's really tough.
Without a guide. That's why you need a good guide writer.
Yeah. And well, I mean, that's true. You do really need a good guide writer. And I'll top it off. I started Avowed Friday, either Friday or Saturday. I have a lingering Games Pass, which I think lasts me until May.
Okay.
Because I took advantage back in 2022, when you could convert the maximum amount of regular Games Pass and convert it into Games Pass, like gold, or sorry, not Games Pass. But you can convert Xbox Live Gold into Games Pass Ultimate. If you re-upped for $1, so you'd pay $1, and if you had 3 years worth of Xbox Live Gold, they would convert it into Games Pass for you. I don't know if that still exists.
No,
I would imagine not, because it was a pretty significant loophole. Yeah. Because but anyway, so I've got it through May, so I'll make use of it. So I've probably put like 4 hours into Avowed, maybe between 3 or 4. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty good. It looks really nice. I'm running on a 30 series GPU, and I've got no like graphical complaints. People have said a lot of things likening it to Skyrim, which is a game that I've tried to play many times and cannot. I just like am physically, just can't do it, man. It's not for me. And I think that Avowed is better than it for my person. And I don't know. Yeah, it's good. It looks nice. You play as a cool character. It's, I don't know. It brings up some conversations about heavy-handedness in game design, which are interesting to me. It feels like, and I think that games have always been this way, but they were better at hiding it before, I don't know, 8 years ago, which is that you're supposed to do this, and this was specifically designed for you to find. And it could just be because 8 years ago I was 8 years younger, certainly. But I don't know, like the only negative that I really have about it is that it's obvious to me every single time that I find a thing that was meant to be found. And I don't know, like the mystery is missing, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
You open a door, you find an encounter, there's a hidden thing. You go down a pathway that's like slightly hidden, and you find a hidden thing, and it's before a ledge that you can't jump back up over. So it's like, oh, I was supposed to find this thing. And I don't know, it's weird. It's one of those things where, like, I'm not really a games reviewer. I mean, I don't think I really ever have been, or certainly not a very good one. And that this just kind of reinforces it to me. It's like, I don't know how to evaluate this. Like, is this good to game design, or is this bad game design? Like, am I older and smarter, or was I just like, or is it neither? And I was just dumber before, and that's okay. Because it meant that I just could like enjoy games more. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not trying to wax poetic about it. It's just I don't know the answer to those questions, and the answer to whether or not that makes Avowed a good or a bad video game. Like, I'm not. It genuinely makes me feel completely unqualified to answer the question of, which is a tough position to be in, because like I want to be able to speak more intelligently on it. And I just feel inept to do so. I don't know. It feels fun to play. I guess.
Yeah, you said you're only like 4 hours in.
Like, like, and also it feels like a game that is meant to be to reach much later in. There's a lot of items that you receive, because it has tutorials in it, right? And it's like, here's daggers, and here's a spear, and here's a mace, and here's an axe. And guess what? I'm about 5 hours in. Guess what? I have one of each of all of those fucking items. And it's like, here's plate mail, and here's chain mail, and here's leather armor. Guess what? I have one of all of. And I don't know. I guess like at the end, it still feels like, I don't know, is that good game design? Is that bad game design? And again, the fact that I'm even asking myself that question, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. Like, I don't know. It's like, is that good? Maybe. Maybe it's good that I have one of everything. And the fact that the game didn't make me buy any one of them, I don't know. Maybe I'm still looking for a game that's like, sorry, you don't get to pick. You don't get given one of everything. I don't know. Maybe I've gotten to that point where I've played all of the other games where I could have all of those things, and now I don't want that anymore. I don't know. But anyway, that's Avowed. It feels pretty good to play. Spellcasting is pretty good. I don't know how you regen mana at all. Like, it says that you kill things and then you get it back, but it's like a really, 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 really small amount. But I'm also like level 3 or 4 or something like that. If people watch this show, they'd be like, "You suck." That's just the way that it would go.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, Dolly, what have you been playing?
All right. Well, I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I want to get through that before X comes out.
I don't know, man. Welcome back to 2021.
Yeah,
when did that game come out?
2022, I believe. 2022.
Oh, so close.
Yeah, right around there. But I had started it, and I had put maybe 20 minutes into it, and that was it. And I remember why I put 20 minutes into it, because as I mentioned in the Discord, man, there's a lot of tutorials and tips. It's like you have to just keep hitting okay. This is how you use the menu system. Okay.
Now, the one thing I will say is that if there is a game which has an unnecessary amount of complications to its systems,
it's this one. Yeah.
It's Xenoblade Chronicles, man, and it's all three of them.
Series. It's
all three of them. It's not just one of them.
Yeah.
Actually, all 4 of them, because I'll include X in that.
When they remade the first one, it felt like they added stuff. Anyways, you get past that stuff, and man, this is just it's so good.
It's fun.
I didn't realize how good of a game it is. I love my RPGs. And especially turn-based, kind of the classic Japanese developed RPGs, which have this sort of their focus on the action on screen. I think is, to me, it's what always sucks me in, and the lore and that aspect. So that's why I love these games, and Xenoblade is great for that. And it's just a huge game. I'm gonna be, it's gonna be another 100-hour game that I have to get through before Chronicles X comes out. But I'm enjoying it. It looks great on my Switch OLED screen, because I'm playing it in portable while I'm watching the 2. So I have been playing another game. I've been playing a game for review, and I want to preface this by saying that I love adventure games. You talked a little about adventure games a moment ago. I love adventure games. I grew up on the Sierra Online, Lucas Arts games, and Myst kind of came from that. I only played Myst and Riven a little bit, but the genre has been one of the most interesting to follow, especially the last decade. In the last decade, we've had some of the most intriguing takes on adventure gaming, which for all intents and purposes is like this really focus on the story, focus on the characters, focus on their relationships type of stuff. And I love that aspect. And there's a developer, Don't Nod, who has been putting out these games, in this genre for a while now, and I've missed them because they have tended to be sort of in the young adult range, the young adult genre, because it does, focus on a lot of stuff with teens and their trials and tribulations. And as you guys know, I ain't a young buck anymore. But I had the chance. I said, you know what? Let me dive in. Had the opportunity to play Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. This is called Tape 1 because it's actually a two-parter. And it was initially kind of delayed a little bit from January to launch into February. I think the second one is coming in March or April or something. But so I've never played a Don't Nod game. But that being said, playing this has potentially flipped the script for me because I can't believe how much I enjoyed what I've been playing here. So first and foremost, you talk about good game design. You mentioned that a little bit ago. What is good game design? And am I playing this well enough to understand that this is good or bad? Is this the intent of what the developers are trying to do? And if the developers are trying to get me to feel like a 15-year-old girl in 1995 Michigan, you nailed it.
Been there, done that, man.
They nailed it. They nailed it because so we have a cabin. We have an up north in Michigan. We have my family has a cabin up there. This game feels like all of those aspects of mid-Michigan in the 90s. I mean, they really have knocked out of the park with attention to detail, with the scenery and the characterizations for that era. I mean, it is a sort of period piece. It does kind of flip back and forth. So it takes place then. You're kind of reliving this story with these four girls and kind of the things they're going through, their trial and tribulations. There's a whole supernatural. You can kind of see in the trailers. I'm not going to get into that because I want people to experience it in the story. That starts to happen sort of, couple hours in. You start to really understand what that is. But they got everything right. I mean, you go up to anywhere in Michigan, and it's like we have ice cream, like side of the road ice cream shops. We still have movie rental places with VHS. And it's definitely had that kind of sort of small town up north feel. So like I said, it revolves around these four girls. There's this event that they kind of go through, this small little event, it's a small little moment where they all meet. And then from then it starts to spiral out of control into just some of the most, supernatural wild things. But what impacts me is how they connect to each other. And what the storytelling in this is all about, the gameplay is all about building the relationships with these other characters and how that affects the plot, how that affects a story. So, Swan is the redhead in the trailer here, but Swan is sort of the main character, the main protagonist, at least in much of this, the lead character, sort of quiet, shy girl, a little bit introverted, but she meets these three other girls and they instantly form a bond. They're based on music, based on art and culture, based on their lifestyles, based on some of the stuff they're going through as a young adult. She builds up her relation, or we build up her relationship to all these different characters based on how we're interacting with them. And it really is kind of the focus. And I hearken it back to thinking about, the game opens with you're sitting in your car, she's sitting in her car and her mom's on the phone with her on the speakerphone, and she's talking to her mom. And you can just like shut the call off right away and get out of the car and walk into the next scene. But you can also sit there and have an actual conversation with your mother and tell her about what you're going through. And then while your mother's talking, you're looking around your car and kind of picking up after yourself and getting things ready. And then you're still kind of, yeah, mom, I'm still friends with them. And she's looking over here. Yeah. I mean, it's a little awkward, mom. So it's a very real type of conversation and interaction. That it really kind of forces us to kind of talk and listen. Like there's a lot of listening in this game. Like you really do need to pay attention to all the conversations and kind of everything that's happening in your periphery. A lot of other adventure games will let you kind of just click and move around and click stuff till you find the right thing. But there is a lot of listening involved in this. I think that's, again, kudos to the development team for understanding what that relationship aspect is. And you have to do a lot of listening before you can actually do the interact. And then I think because of that, it may feel a little slower for people, for the casual fans, maybe someone who's not into adventure games, because you do have to do so much of that. It's not like it's a visual novel or anything, but you're definitely, you have to focus a little bit more than you would in typical games like this. So I love that aspect. The game looks great. Has a lot of, like I said, a lot of attention to detail. There's a bar in the game, and I was enamored by like looking at the different bottles of alcohol on the wall, and I'm like, oh, they did a great job with that one. That shape, I know that shape. I know this. I know this. And then I look down and I see like individual peanuts in the actual kind of peanut cardboard container. She's sitting there, and then I look over. I'm like, there are the water rings on the lacquer finished countertop. I'm like, man, this is sets the mood and the experience, and it's just an awesome detail, because again, I feel like I'm there, and I feel like I'm at this small town. It's really nice fidelity. Playing it on a nice rig is great. I was playing on the Steam Deck, and there are some issues as can kind of be imagined. It's the name is Bloom, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. There is a lot of bloom effect that they're doing in this game. It feels like it, and some of the stuff does take its toll on a Steam Deck, but it does look beautiful. I mean, like, again, just the colors they use. You're seeing a lot of things through a camcorder. That's how Swan starts to kind of scan and understand the things around her. She's always filming, and it's really cool, because it's almost like scanning in a Metroid game where you're walking around scanning every little detail. It's starting to build up the story, like even little things like crumpled up pieces of paper, like everything has meaning, and everything kind of builds up this interesting backstory to it. So yeah, you move around a 3D space, you're constantly looking at stuff, constantly kind of collecting things that maybe aren't pivotal to the story, but there's a lot of things to collect too. I always felt like I was missing something, because you get a little check mark. It says you collected 4 out of 9 pieces of the graffiti, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to find more of this. And then I'm in the next chapter, and I'm thinking, man, I missed it. I totally missed this graffiti. Luckily, you can go back and replay these games over and over again as much as you want, which is good. So you can start to collect those things. But there are a lot of collectibles, and because that, there's like a lot of different ways that the story can play out, and it's great. I mean, it's very replayable from that standpoint, because your relationships that you build with the different characters can change and affect, right down to how you name your cat. Like, I named my cat Snowy. So Shadow. Yeah. It's so cool. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a YA person. I haven't played a Don't Nod game before because of that, just because I'm not the target demographic. But I'm really surprised at how much I enjoy this game. I found myself cheering for these characters, and I found myself connecting with them and wondering how the story is going to turn out next, because there's a little lead up to how things go, but when things happen, you're in it. Like, you're all in for what could potentially happen next. So this is the first part. Second part's, I think, coming out, like I said, the next couple months or so. Surprised me. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to playing more of, when the next part comes out, and going back in and collecting more of the collectibles that I definitely missed. So yeah.
Did you play any Life is Strange games?
No, I didn't, but I've gone back and bought them now. After I've gone back, I've bought. They were on sale on Switch. They're on sale on Steam Deck, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy a couple of them. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and this will be perfect for her too. So I'm like, I'm gonna get them, and that way she can play on whatever platform she wants to play, and I'll play whatever platform I want. But after playing this game, I'm like, this is They may have got me. This is just great story, great character building, and
I mean,
instant relationship forming is just so.
Because it's what it's either 2 or 3 of the writers from Life is Strange.
Yeah.
It's their first Canadian branch game.
Right.
Is what it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Montreal studio. I know that they brought on 1, if not 2, like associate writers, because like they're Canadian and they're writing a story about the USA. So it's like, I don't know, probably need a little bit of insight on that one. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, the writing begets the game design in some ways. So like you look at it and you're like, it's the same guys that did Life is Strange. It's like, it's not, but it is.
It's not, but it is. Yeah.
Same old story.
But so it's great. I'm gonna be playing more of it. But we're gonna kind of finish off here on this main aspect of the show. We got a little side thing that's gonna happen in a second here. But for the folks that are watching, listening now, I want to thank you for joining us and spending your Sunday evening with us. Definitely thank you to the Render for joining us again. You can find them right there. You can find them at bluesky.social, all that fun stuff. I really hope they get this thing kind of figured out a little bit, but anyway, follow, instant follow, just awesome posts there, and it's always great to connect. So happy to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, for sure.
Cannot express my gratitude whatsoever.
No, it was great. It's I wanted to hear your thoughts on stuff, and it was totally worthwhile. Taylor, thank you for putting another brick in that wall.
Thank you for tolerating my rambling for at least for 90 minutes.
Just had you on.
Give or take. That's my space heater over there.
Nice. Amazing. You can fit it all.
I need a bigger green screen, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. I gotta set one up for myself. I do not have one. I just have a bunch of posters in the background. I'm too real for green screen.
Well, listen, honestly,
and I are too real for green. I mean, we both have like
corner. You guys are doing great.
Listen, he and I we have like builder grade paint on both our walls. Like, I guarantee you, I haven't updated the paint on this wall. I'll just do posters that hide the.
Listen, if I didn't have to worry about like doxing myself with the shit behind me, I'd be like, I would not care.
Taylor lives in Louisiana, so he's out in the swamp of Louisiana.
Shut the fuck up, Dalton.
On that note, sidequesting.com, sidequesting TV on YouTube and Twitch, sidequesting.com on Blue Sky. If you can find us, you can find us all individually, blah, blah. There's our Blue Sky handle. And hop into the Discord. It is awesome. We always have a great time chatting there. And that's it. We'll see you on the next episode of the Side Quest. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.